the 2nd of May 2016 and it's Bank Holiday Monday here in Ireland. We had a match today with Limerick. I was fairly disappointed in my own personal performance today, but what I'm going to do now is I am going to do a leg session. So I had a match earlier on today, kind of mid-afternoon, and back now in Limerick. I've had loads and loads of carbs before going into this workout, so second workout of the day, so plenty of carbs in between those two. I'm going to do legs today because we've got a good break now until our next training session, so I'll give it a good bit of time to recover. I'm going to start off with squats. Now I have a little bit of a hip flexor. My rectus femoris has been niggling at me for a couple of, maybe about 2 weeks, so I'm going to just see how that goes with the squats. So I'm planning on doing back squats, 4 to 5 reps for 4 to 5 sets. Then I'm going to go into front squats for 6 to 8 reps for maybe 3 sets. Then I'm going to go into RDLs and lunges. I'm going to work the two of those together at about maybe 10 to 12 reps. And I'm going to superset those two. With my squats, I am going to work in a little bit of balance work with my RDLs, and with my lunges I am going to work in some core work in there, so my rest periods are going to be quite active, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do after that, but there's probably going to be maybe 1 or 2 more exercises after that, and I'll fill you in those in a minute. So just did a little bit of a warm up, just something general that we kind of do here with everyone at the gym, and did a few like single leg RDLs, glute thrusts, just to get my hamstrings and my glutes warmed up. Starting off with something fairly light just to get me going, kind of a technique warm-up set. Hip flexors feeling a little bit funny, so I won't be going too heavy, and I'll just kind of have to see how it is really. So I upped it to 100 kilos, warm-up was 60 kilos for like 8 to 10 reps, and now I'm going for 4 to 5. So that felt fairly good. Hip flexor didn't feel too bad with that. A couple of things, I don't ever squat that way, so I always squat inside the cage, facing the catch bars, but the weight is fairly light today, so I know I'm not going to go to failure, and I'm probably going to keep it that way because I haven't squatted in a long time, just with football training and stuff like that. So I wouldn't recommend doing it that way. Squat inside the rack, put the catch bars to the right height, and always face the hooks or the catch bars. So again, don't squat this way. This weight feels fairly light and I'm fairly confident with it, but I would always squat inside the rack if you can. I'm using a belt, so this is just helping me just brace my core a little bit. Just increase my core activation to keep it nice and solid there in the middle. And I'm actually experimenting with a narrower stance. My stance used to be a little bit wider, but I'm experimenting with a narrower stance, and it feels nice, feels fairly good. So I'm happy with how that's going now. Again, I'm going to work in a little bit of balance with this, like I said. So I have my weightlifting shoes on, but I don't have them tied, because whenever you're doing your balance work, you should try and do it in your bare feet or in your socks. So I'm doing balance work because I've had a lot of ankle injuries in the past, and I find that my balance has suffered because of it, but also it serves as a rehab exercise or prehab exercise for ankles.
I invented Kanye, it wasn't any Kanye, and now I look around and there's so many Kanye. I feel it.
So 120, felt fairly comfortable, which is good, and I'm using a Valsalva. So first thing about a Valsalva is you got to be able to breathe into your belly, so diaphragmatic breathing, which is basically like a baby breathes. When you breathe, your belly comes up and down rather than your chest coming up and down. Big deep breath into the belly, brace then against the belt, and again you've got that core activation going there. So that was my 5 sets on my back squat. Now we're going to do maybe 3 sets in front squat. So I'm going to lighten the load to about 75% of what I just did there. So with this, I'm actually going to reduce my rest periods a little bit because I'm going higher on my reps. So with my first one, I was taking kind of 2 to 3 minutes on the back squat, 4 to 5 reps. This one, moving up towards maybe 8 reps, 10 reps. Closer there, and I'm going to take a little bit more rest. Oh, sorry, a little bit less rest. I'm still working on my balance exercises. Even though I have, I would say, discomfort here in my hip flexor, you know, I'm not avoiding squats, particularly the front squats, because that's going to act as my rehab. I actually haven't squatted in a really, really long time. I think I did squats maybe 2 weeks ago, and before that it had been over a month, I'd say. So this is going to act as the rehab for that hip flexor. Rectus femoris, so going from your hip down to your knee. And front squats are literally an ideal exercise to rehab it. So anyone that I get in here with a quad injury, they're doing front squats. They're also doing something called wall squats, but that's not something you'd regularly see people do. But you'll always see people do front squats. Great one for the quads. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm actually going to do sets of 5 to 6 on my RDLs, and I'm going to do maybe 10s on my lunges, because your front squat, back squat don't bring in a whole pile of hamstrings, so I want to try and get a kind of heavy stimulus on my RDLs, on my hamstrings. So I'm going to work these in with walking lunges, and I'm actually going to do backwards lunges rather than just pure walking lunges. And I'm going to work in some abs wheel then with this, so rather than resting, abs wheel. So I was just using the belt and the RDLs just to keep my core a little bit tighter. Sometimes I find my back rounds when the RDLs get really heavy. So again, you can use your belt there as well. And with the lunges, weightlifting shoes are actually really, really handy with them because they give you really kind of solid base support. So when you're wearing a weightlifting shoe, it's almost like you're glued to the ground. So they take some of the balance out of the lunge, which allows you to kind of just focus more on the muscles. Now, that can be a good and a bad thing in that, you know, if you're a sports person, you play field sport, then you want to train your balance as well. But if you're purely looking to just get the most out of a resistance stimulus and really kind of stimulate the muscle, then weightlifting shoes are good because they take the balance out of it. So I did reps of sets of 6 on the RDLs, heavy stimulus. Then I moved to 12, so it was actually 24 steps, we'll say, on our lunge pattern. And now I am going to do some single leg squats. Whoa. I'm going to do some single leg squats and hip thrusts. I'm going to superset those, and this is just going to be like a finisher. This is going to be, it might turn into 10 sets of 10 on each. Single leg squats, single leg hip thrusts, and just over and back for as long as I feel like, really. And I'm actually going to add in a little bit of core work as well with this using the TRX. So I'll try and show you that too. So what I'm trying to do is keep that chest up high all the time. So keep the chest up all the time. So, down. Chest up first. Chest up first. Keep balance. So, chest up. Chest up. Rather than hips coming up first, so rather than this. So that second variety is just going to bring in more hamstrings and glutes really, and take the emphasis away from the quads. So try to keep that chest up first because I want to emphasize quads here. Glutes, hamstrings are looked after in the hip thrust. So just after finishing up, A couple of things in that workout. I always like to try and superset things to get more done. Now, that last superset had a lot of cardiovascular stimulus in it because there were high reps, and it was 10 left leg, 10 right leg, 10 left leg, 10 right leg into core. So I ended up doing four or five of those. I can't really remember, 4 or 5. So 10 single leg squats left, 10 single leg squats right, 10 hip thrusts left, 10 hip thrusts right, core straight back into it. But I do like to superset things, saves you time. More heavy compound movements at the start, leave them by themselves. More repetitions, less rest, and more of a kind of a volume type stimulus. Circuit those is what I do. Now, usually with my circuit, I use a core exercise or a balance exercise. But with the people that we have here, with the people that I coach, most of the time it's a mobility exercise. So my mobility is at a point where I don't really need to work on it anymore. I just need to maintain where I'm at, which is great because now I can just focus that extra time on core work. And obviously that's, that gives me added benefit with sport. And I work on balance work, that gives me added benefit with sport, but also with, injury prevention. So if you're someone that needs to work on your mobility, whether it's hamstrings, hip flexors, calves, use those rest periods as mobility, put in mobility drills in there. So for example, if you're squatting, try and work in an upper body mobility exercise. If you're doing upper body, try and work in a lower body mobility exercise. You don't really want to be doing a hamstring stretch whilst you're doing RDLs. So that's what I would encourage you to do. The only other thing then I just want to touch on one more thing. I had a match today, and I really like doing a gym session after a match for a couple of reasons. First reason is usually I'll take some kind of stimulant before a game, so caffeine, L-thiamine, beta-alanine, and I'm very sensitive to stimulants. So I'm still buzzing, I'm still buzzing from the caffeine I took earlier on today. So I always feel like I want to make as much use out of that as I can. Second thing is, usually when you play a game, it's on a weekend, and your next game isn't for another week. So you've got a whole week to recover. So there's no reason why, in my view, you can't do another session that day. If you're going to do 2 sessions any day, it's going to be that day because it's the furthest away from your next game. The other reason I really like doing an extra session after a game is because it's a good time to catch up. If you feel like you're behind on your training and you need to do an extra bit, usually in a training system with a team, games will be factored in as kind of an extra heavy day, and rest will be given appropriately after that. So usually there's a little bit more rest that day after a game, so that gives you more of a chance to really go at it on that day, and you'll get your rest then, and you'll be able to stay in the schedule, if you know what I mean. Whereas if you try and do a lift, if you try and do 2 lifts in one day, so if you try and do, like say, a team lifting session and then your own lifting session, they're obviously going to clash. Or if you try and do a lift before a training session, that's probably going to impact your training. Well, it is going to impact your training. Now, if your training is around in the morning, so if you have a pitch session in the morning, fine, a lift afterwards won't obviously affect that pitch session, but most pitch sessions for, say I play GA, so most pitch sessions for sports people are on the evenings, so an AM gym session is obviously going to affect that. Whereas if you get your match in the weekend and a match in the morning, you can get your PM gym session in. I'm all done here, hope it helps. See you in the next clip. Just finished my workout here at Fit 100 and I'm about to head home. I want to briefly touch on why I haven't made a video in a very long time and my plans going forward. I do want to try and make more videos. I do want to try and make more instructional videos and more how-tos and more kind of vlogging style, but the vlogging style with a lot of, trying to put in as much knowledge as I can. The reason I haven't made a video in a very long time is there is this continuous pull from every direction. I'm trying to do a lot of things. I am juggling so many balls. I'm playing football with my club, with my county. I am running a gym. I am also trying to look after my own general health. I have a lot of allergies and intolerances. It takes me a lot of time just to prepare my meals. And even in the last, I'll give you a perfect example. In the last 2 weeks now I've been suffering, been very chesty. I've had a bit of a chest infection, and more or less the reason I got the chest infection was because I literally stopped sleeping for about a week. I just dramatically cut my sleep hours for a week because I had a lot of programs to do. I had a lot of work to do here at Fit 100, and you know, it was something I wanted to do because I'm trying to drive on that business, and it was something I wanted to do because I wanted to help the people that were here. Some of those programs are for people online. I wanted to help those people too, but that caused me to, you know, cut my sleep hours, and as a result I got a chest infection. And now over the last 2 weeks I've been sleeping way more, and because I've been sleeping way more to try and get rid of it, and because I've been really tired, my productivity has actually really dropped, and it's really affected my football in the last week. So there's this constant battle between, you know, trying to grow, we'll say, as an athlete and trying to get better at football, and trying to grow a business, and trying to do a YouTube channel, and trying to grow a website and do social media and all this stuff. So what I'm going to try and do from now on is make it a little bit kind of break it down a little bit smaller, make it a little bit simpler for myself. So rather than trying to do like crazy edits on YouTube, or trying to make the videos look really perfect, or trying to make a post really perfect, I'm going to just try and save time as much as I can, make it very clear, concise, and to the point, rather than, you know, making loads of really kind of fancy stuff happen. So, you know, even in terms of what we got going on here at Fit 100, like, I absolutely love my work here, but even with that I'm trying to just tidy up everything to save myself, you know, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, so that I can keep all the balls in the air. I definitely don't want to drop any of the balls that I have in the air, so I gotta just, you know, I'm going to just keep going with it and manage my time a little bit better. And, you know, I think that's a battle that a lot of people have, particularly people that are in business. That's going to conclude this video, and hopefully I have a new one up fairly soon. Slán.